Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video we will be talking about how just minutes ago Steve Scalise has withdrawn his name from the House speakership race. This is an incredible and stunning move. It's breaking news and honestly just completely shocking. I was not expecting this. It was looking like Steve Scalise had the best chance to be Speaker of the House. I mean, of course, out of anyone, he did by far have the best chance. Were the chances that he would become Speaker in his favor? Probably not. But I certainly thought that he would at least run when the actual voting came. But just minutes ago, he spoke to press outside of his congressional office or whatever, and he said that he will not run for House Speaker anymore, that he is withdrawing his name from consideration from his fellow Republicans. And this comes after the House GOP held a closed-door conference where they decided on a leader to endorse. And Steve Scalise won this vote. We can go to this vote here. This was just, yesterday or 2 days ago, I think. Steve Scalise won with 113 votes. To Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is a more conservative representative from Ohio. Jim Jordan got 99 votes. Those were the two only major contenders. No one else is running. It was narrow, but he won, and because of that, he received the endorsement of the House Republican Party. However, that does not mean that all Republicans would vote for him. There were, before he just withdrew his name, 19 to be exact, Republicans who said that they were definitely 100% not voting for Steve Scalise. And because of that, because of how narrow the House majority is, here we could see it. It's currently 216 to 212. No, it's not that. That counts the other people too. 218 to 212 or something like that. Republicans have majority by like 6 or 8 representatives. Because of that, if 19 Republicans are refusing to support Scalise, then Steve Scalise has a problem. Then he cannot reach that majority plus one, or that 50% plus one, and he cannot become Speaker. But, so we didn't think, of course, that this would be solved on the first ballot, that we would get a Speaker on the first ballot. However, I did think that Steve Scalise would be at the first ballot and would be in the race for Speaker, and people would be voting for him, and he would come in second on the first ballot, of course, behind Hakeem Jeffries, who all the Democrats are voting for, and then whatever, ballot after ballot. I was thinking it would be like January, where the front runner, Republican Steve Scalise, just like Kevin McCarthy in January, eventually reaches that 50% plus one and becomes House Speaker, that 217 votes. That's what I predicted. I at least 100% thought that Steve Scalise would be in a few rounds of balloting. I mean, at least the first ballot. That he would make it to ballots. I did not even consider that Steve Scalise would leave this race before the first ballot. And I mean, this just shows you how he knows that this will be a very intense and brutal race. Because, I mean, these Congress people, when it comes to having power, they fight. A lot of them, I'm not talking about Steve Scalise specifically here, but a lot of them want to have a high-ranking position. That's all they care about. That goes for a lot of Congress people. And they fight for that. So when Steve Scalise is not even going to fight, on the first ballot, it just shows that he knows this is going to be intense. And, these Congress people like Steve Scalise, know better than any of us, any of the press, and this just shows that this will be very, very intense, historic, incredible, brutal, gruesome, and it will be one for the ages. So, what does happen? Without Steve Scalise in the race, still Jim Jordan had withdrawn too and endorsed Steve Scalise after that vote where the House GOP endorsed Steve Scalise. But I assume that with Steve Scalise gone, Jim Jordan gets back in the race. Jim Jordan will probably be the Republican frontrunner, considering that he got 99% or 99 votes in the Republican caucus, 45.0%. So Jim Jordan we could expect to see leading the Republicans. We will not get a leader we will not get a speaker, on the first ballot, second ballot, third ballot. Okay, the question of how many ballots there will be, that could be answered so many different ways. So many people have opinions on this. It could be 10, or I'm thinking 40 to 50. And yes, I know that sounds crazy considering January was like 13 ballots. But the fact that McCarthy was voted out, that an incumbent speaker was voted out, and that they were like two basically equal contenders, trying to take his spot, two very competitive contenders, and the fact that the House Republicans met and endorsed someone, and then he's dropping out, the endorsee, and then his opponent will probably get back in. It just shows that this is not like January. It's not like January at all. So, I think there's going to be a lot more ballots than January. I don't think it's very much like January at all, as I just said like 5 times. So we can expect to see many, many ballots. I'm thinking definitely more than 13 in January. I'm thinking 40. I'm thinking 50. Could there be 100 ballots? You tell me. It was at the 1924 Democratic National Convention, where they nominated a presidential candidate, John W. Davis. There's 103 ballots. Will there be 400 ballots? We do not know. Probably not 400. So, again, Jim Jordan probably be the Republican frontrunner. But the question is, can Jim Jordan win all the Republicans? There will probably be the McCarthy Republicans who would not vote for Jim Jordan. So I don't think it's going to be Jim Jordan win speakership. It's so interesting because we have 400 whatever members of the House, and it's like, which one is going to be it? It could play out so many different ways, and it is so exciting and fun, frankly, to think about, because it could be any of them. We could see a moderate like Brian Fitzpatrick on the 85th ballot come out on top. We could see the other option is that the House vote finishes up relatively quickly and we get Hakeem Jeffries as the speaker. We say Hakeem Jeffries, or the House Democrats, I should say, so close yet so far, right? It was 50.5% for McCarthy, 49.5% for Hakeem on that 15th ballot. His vote total never changed. Of course, they're so close to the majority, but it's a question of, considering that we have the two-party system, no independents in Congress, no libertarians in Congress, no Greens in Congress, they can't get any Republicans on their side. And that was a struggle in January. They didn't really try in January because they knew there was no choice. But people are honestly predicting this now. A congressman, I forget his name, or I don't know who it was, but someone posted on Twitter, a Republican congressman. It was some sort of meme, but Anyway, it was basically overall, in a summary, depicting Hakeem Jeffries getting the speakership, after something, whatever, after a process, and House Republicans being like, how is Hakeem Jeffries speaker? Or whatever, it doesn't matter. But lots of people are predicting, that Hakeem Jeffries ends up as speaker because all he needs is 5 Republicans. It's key how close, the House majority is. I mean, this wouldn't be happening, if, Republicans had a bigger, majority, but, that's the reality. And all the Democrats need is like 5 Republicans. So we have people like, let me just use the map to help me. Who we have Brian Fitzpatrick in Pennsylvania. We have Tom Keene Jr. in New Jersey. We have, of course, I can't think of any. I mean, obviously that's a given. I mean, I don't know. Juan Kiskamani. I don't know. It's manageable. Ken Buck. Let me look at the McCarthy Republicans. Any of them. Mike Lawler. Probably not Don Bacon. David Valadao. Jeffries could get it. Because, again, all he needs is 5. The Dems could work up a deal with, like, 10 Republicans, and Hakeem Jeffries ends up as speaker. That is a complete reality. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries probably has a better chance of becoming speaker than someone like Jim Jordan. So, that's another, thing that might happen, honestly, which is pretty crazy. And then we have Kevin McCarthy. I know. I feel like, Kevin McCarthy was all the talk like 5 days ago, and now he's not even a factor. He doesn't even say a word anymore. But Kevin McCarthy, said that he would not run for speaker again, but that was before Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise both announced their bids. So, could Kevin McCarthy get back in? I think he does. I think that the Republicans, that the Republican vote could be split between Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy, because there are still a good chunk of very enthusiastic McCarthy supporters here, and it's a very powerful group that could, of course, spread. So, I mean, there are so many things that could happen. It could just be deadlocked for so long that, in these behind closed doors meetings, we could have whoever emerge. There's so many options. Could a moderate Democrat emerge? That would be very interesting. But probably not. If it's a Democrat, it's probably going to be Hakeem. But I will keep you all updated. I'm so excited to see where this goes. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.